Hello, welcome to the Intramural Volleyball Officials training video for Saginaw Valley State University. My name is Brady Duke and I'm the coordinator of intramural sports programs at Saginaw Valley. This video was created to build a more effective set of officials for our intramural program. We send this video to all of our prospective employees as stage one of the training process. Candidates are further tested on the content of this video, both on paper and in practice. This is the process we currently have in place for hiring officials for the academic semester or year. Before we begin, I want to note that all rules not covered in this video are governed by myself and the Director of Campus Recreation at SVSU in conjunction with the Volleyball Rules Book of the NFHS and the NCAA. The rules are implemented into the program for the enjoyment of the sports amongst our student body and may be altered at any time to ensure this. There will be 4 parts to this video. The first will be an overview of the general volleyball guidelines and procedures. In the second part, we will look at some of the common violations and how we call them in our program. The third part of the video will instruct officials on proper signals and whistle techniques. In the fourth and final part of the video, we will demonstrate the proper captain's meeting, which occurs prior to every match. During this video, please feel free to follow along with the volleyball rules document and the volleyball training PowerPoint that myself or the current coordinator has provided you via email. The most important part of your job is to get the court ready for play. As you can see, we have moved outdoors to the sand volleyball court we use for our fall season. The yellow rope laying in the sand indicates the in and out of bounds line for the sand court. You always want to make sure you start the rope at the middle of the pole about 6 inches inside the beginning of the net. This ensures that the court will be even when laid out. As you lay out the rope, you'll notice 5 different sections marked with a piece of red tape. Each of these indicates one of the 4 corners and where it crosses the net on the opposite side. As you lay out the rope, you'll mark these with stakes so that the court makes a complete square. Please note that an uneven court makes for an unfair game and unhappy participants, no matter how good of an official you are. So you always need to make sure, especially during the sand season, that the rope is laid out correctly. Luckily, indoors, you don't have to worry about placing the court lines. However, there are a few guidelines referees must be aware of. First, if the ball hits the wall, the red track and railing, or the court divider you see on the left, the ball is considered out and you should blow the whistle to stop play. Next is the ceiling. There are 2 rules here. The first is that if the ball is hit into the ceiling by a team and the ball comes back down on their own side of the net, play may continue. Inversely, if a team hits the ball into the ceiling and the ball lands on the opponent's side of the net, the ball is considered out and you should blow the whistle to stop play. The last guideline for indoor volleyball has to do with the basketball hoops. Notice in this frame, one basketball hoop is up and the other one is down. If the basketball hoop is down, the entire structure, including the black support beam, are considered a wall. That means the wall rule applies and the ball would be considered out if it hit the structure. The other option for basketball hoops is if they're raised to the ceiling. In this case, the ceiling rule stated previously would apply. One more thing about the basketball hoops, and this goes for the court dividers as well. If you arrive for your shift and you notice the basketball hoops on your court are down or the divider to your court is raised up, please notify the coordinator or supervisor on duty. They will do their best to ensure the dividers are put down and the basketball hoops are raised up to the ceiling prior to the beginning of play. Keeping an accurate score of the game is the second most important part of your position in our program. We do not use a scoreboard for our volleyball games, so you and the score sheet are considered the official scorekeepers. Because there is no scoreboard, participants will occasionally ask you what the score is. It is recommended and is more professional that instead of waiting for them to ask, you occasionally say the score after every few points. For this, there's a couple good rules of thumb. First is to state the score every time there is a change in serve-receive. Usually there is a break in the action while the team rotates, and it usually is a good time to say the score. Secondly, say the score more often as the game gets later. When the game is close, teams will want to know the score constantly. If the game gets into the 12-point range and teams are within a couple of points, it is not bad to say the score after each point. Finally, avoid using the term blank serving blank. Teams usually get confused on who is who when saying the score like that. It's better to point to one side of the court and the other side when saying how many points each team has. This should keep you and the participants on the same page. In this section, we will review many of the common violations you will see while officiating intramural volleyball. Many of these are chosen due to the regularity of them occurring. We will go over the rule itself in this section, and part 3 will pair these violations with the official signal. The first rule that I want to cover is the co-ed rule. At SVSU, generally we offer 2 leagues, a co-ed league and a women's league. In the co-ed league, teams are regulated to have 2 males and 2 females on the court at one time. If a team does not have 2, they must play with 3 people on the court. The females and the males must stay kitty-cornered to each other on the court at all times, meaning 2 males cannot be in the front court or 2 females cannot be in the front court or back court at one time. It's also your job to make sure that in rotation for serving, that it goes male, female in that order. One other thing to note in the co-ed game, in a 3-hit rally for a team, 1 hit must happen by both genders. So it is illegal for 3 men to hit or 3 females to hit in a 3-person rally. Next are the net and centerline rules. There are multiple rules referring to the net. The first and most common one is that the net may never be touched by a person. In any case, if the net is touched by a player, the opposing team earns a point, as you should call in the net. The next rule refers to playing a ball that is above the net. A player may almost never play a ball that is entirely on the opponent's side of the net. There are a couple of exceptions to the rule, but first I want to show you an example. If the opposing team is using its 3rd hit, or the hit was made by an opponent in an attempt to hit it over the net, the ball may be played. The other exception is if the attempt is a legal block. It is very common to see males reaching over the net, so it is critical that this rule is known and enforced properly. The final rule refers to the center line at the bottom of the court. Landing on the line is completely legal as long as your foot or hand stays in contact with the line. A player is considered over the line when a foot or hand completely crosses the line, as seen here. With blocking, the first thing to note is that it does not count as a hit. If a player deflects a ball on a block attempt and the ball stays on their side, the team still has 3 hits to return the ball. Also, a block is not considered a touch, meaning that a player who makes contact with the ball on a block may play the ball again for the team's first hit, as seen here. The last thing to note about blocking is that no team may block or attack a serve. At times, you may be unsure if a return is in fact an attack away from the net or simply a hit. To be an illegal attack on a serve, the ball must be played above the net. The hardest calls for an official to make in our program are illegal throws and lifts. Let's start with the lesser of 2 evils and talk about throws. A legal touch is a touch that does not allow the ball to come to rest or prolonged contact with a player's body. During a legal attack, a player will strike the ball as seen in this video. A throw is different because the ball will come to rest in a player's palm for a short amount of time, as seen here. This is most common when a player is reaching behind them to attack or trying to direct the ball to a specific part of the court. Similarly, with a lift, the ball may not come to rest in a player's palm during a hit. This does mean a player can play a ball with a flat palm as long as there is no prolonged contact, as seen here. The biggest difference you will see between the two is how hard the ball is being hit towards the person. For example, as you just saw, a hard attack being played with an open palm will most likely be a legal hit because the ball will bounce off of the player's hand. Inversely, a ball hit slowly will have less force and will not bounce off of a flat hand. This will cause a player to raise their hands up in a lifting format, as seen here. There are two more things I want to mention about illegal and legal contact. The first is that the ball may hit any part of a player's body as long as it does not come to rest or stay in prolonged contact with. This means that the head, the elbow, or the foot may be used to make contact with the ball. The second thing I want to mention is that multiple contacts can occur by the same person on any first hit of a rally. This is usually most common when a hard attack comes at a person and the player puts two hands up in their face to protect/play the ball. The ball may actually hit both of their hands as long as it is in one attempt to play the ball. Another example of this is if the ball hits the person's shoulder and rolls up their arm and maybe off their face. On a hard attack, this can be seen, and it actually is a legal hit despite the fact that the player hit the ball more than once. Now I will demonstrate the proper signals and whistle techniques we use in our intramural program at SVSU.
In, out, 1, 0, 1, 0.
Now that you have learned the procedures, rules, and signals we use in our program at Saginaw Valley State, I will show you the process of a volleyball captain's meeting and pregame routine. Before the game, feel free to allow teams to warm up. If there is only one ball recreation has provided, make sure that both teams get the opportunity to warm up with it. Once both teams have checked in and are ready to play, call the captains over.
Before the meeting, it is good to study the teams who are playing. Consider the following questions. Does one team have a significant skill advantage over the other? How good is the level of play between the two teams? Have there been sportsmanship issues with these teams in the past? Does one team commit a certain violation often? Depending on your answer to these questions, you may change your captain's meeting speech for every game you officiate. For example, if I know these two teams have had bad sportsmanship or have questioned my judgment in the past, I may say something about having good sportsmanship during the meeting. If I know a team has a player that lifts the ball or tends to throw the ball on his or her attacks, I will mention that and I will be watching during play. Let me give you two examples for acceptable captain's meetings. The first will be a normal meeting, while the second I will address a sportsmanship issue.
Captains! Okay. The basketball hoops are up, so they're part of the ceiling. Remember that. Before I describe everything else, do you guys have any questions?
No.
We are going to play best of 3 sets. We will play 5 if necessary. The first 4 are going to be played to 15 with a cap of 17. The last game, if necessary, will also be played to 15, but the cap there will be 21. Alright? Okay, let's play rock, paper, scissors. Okay, would you like to choose what side of the court you want to start on, or would you like to choose serve receive?
Serve.
Okay, which side of the court do you want to start?
This side.
Okay, let's have a good game, ladies.
Good luck. Good luck.
Captains! Okay, notice that the hoops are up. We will play that as part of the ceiling rule. Do you guys have any questions on that? Okay, we'll play best 3 out of 5 sets. First 1 to 3 wins. We'll play the first 4 sets to 15 with a cap of 17. And then the fifth and final, if necessary, will be played to 15 with a cap of 21. Any questions on that? Okay, now I know last game got a little heated between you guys, so let's make sure that we keep good sportsmanship. I don't want anything to happen. If you have an issue, come to me and speak to me directly in a respectful tone, and we'll try and get it situated as best as possible. Okay? Is that understood?
Yep.
All right, let's play rock, paper, scissors. All right, would you like to choose the side of the court you want to be on, or would you like to choose serve receive?
Court.
Okay, do you want to serve first, or you want to receive?
Serve.
Okay, it'll be her ball. Let's have a good game, ladies, okay?
Good luck.
This is a small thing, but this is what turns a good official into a great official. Addressing what you believe may be the biggest issue before the game starts acts like a warning to both teams. That way, when you call the first lift or respond to unsportsmanlike behavior, it is justified because you have already addressed the fact that you would be singling those acts out specifically throughout the game. So to recap, we have spoken about the general procedures, rules, signals, whistles, and the captain's meeting. As this video comes to an end, I encourage you to pull out your whistle, practice your signals, and practice administering a captain's meeting. Everything in this video gives you the tools to become a good official in the intramural program at Saginaw Valley State. But just like playing the sport, officiating takes practice too. Thanks for watching, everyone.